This is the Extended Gamut Podcast, the podcast for printing professionals. We explore trending topics in the print industry, we meet with industry experts, and we take your questions. But today we are talking about
Spain.
Barcelona, Spain. Andy and I just returned from Barcelona, Spain, and we are going to get into what we saw there and
What we ate there.
Musings from Jeff and Andy while in Spain. Stay tuned. All right, Andy, we're back. They let us into the country and back into our country.
Both ways.
Though the way coming back, though, there was a slight hiccup when I went to check in. It was you and I. And they started writing stuff all over my boarding pass.
Oh, yeah.
And we couldn't quite understand. And then we went to go through security and they were like, why is there all this marker on your boarding pass? And I was like, I have no idea. The person I thought was in charge was writing on my boarding pass. And they're like, well, you need to go see someone. And then we saw a stand. And then when they saw me with all this writing, they took me. And it was like,
They put you in your own pen.
it was the beginning of a Locked Up Abroad episode. And I was escorted away from my pal, Andrew.
I had
Behind glass walls. I can't even really tell you all the things that happened, but the shoes were off. They were rubbing different cloths all over my stuff. They said it was random.
That's
But
what they say.
My beard had grown in a little bit. I don't know. I was feeling a little pressured, but at the same time, I knew I was clean. So that was a nice feeling.
Yeah, they weren't going to find anything.
There was
on you.
two other people in there, and one guy was looking super nervous, and I almost wanted my process to take longer so I could watch something wild happen. But they released me. We got on a plane. Our whole section was just filled with people coughing for about 10 hours straight. I was convinced we either had contracted something, but nothing ever came to be. Here we are, healthy, safe, back in America.
Remember the time one of our employees tried to get back from a trade show with a box cutter in his bag?
That is true. That was his second flight of his life. His first was out to the trade show, and his second was back, and he had not one but two box cutters in his carry-on.
Yep. Crazy.
That was wild.
You live and learn.
Can't believe that.
So, Spain. I feel like we did it right. We slept on the way there.
Yep.
Landed at 9 in the morning or something like that, 10 in the morning. And then we just went all day, didn't sleep,
Nope.
pushed through until midnight, midnight was what here? 7 hours difference.
Yeah. It was 4 in the afternoon we went to bed, but it was the following day.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was our day to see Spain.
Yep.
Because after that it was HP agenda, right? So what did you think of Barcelona, Spain?
I always like checking new stuff out. And it was my second time to Barcelona, but we went and saw stuff that I had never seen before. So we put our running shoes on and we started taking taxis out to the outskirts of the downtown area and sort of worked our way from it's called the
Sagrada
Familia. And we worked our way down into the Gothic Quarter and all the way down to the beach.
Yep. So walked along the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
We tried to see everything you could see that you would normally see in a week-long vacation in about 3 hours.
And it was decently hot. It was probably in the 80s. So
Yeah.
we were shorts, t-shirt, and then a couple other team members joined us that had a flight that was a little later. They showed up in jeans, boots.
Boots. Yeah.
And
walking. They were his walking boots.
It was his walking boots?
Yeah.
What's the song? These boots were made for walking. And that's just what they'll do one of these days. All right. So yeah, we got to see the area in Barcelona that we were in, I feel is very touristy.
Yeah.
Which was funny because we're like, oh, it's so touristy, as we're like the two American tourists like complaining. Yeah. It's like when you go on vacation somewhere and you're like, this whole island is just filled with a bunch of tourists. Yeah. I wish it was.
You're part of the problem.
Less people. I wish I was the only person that was the tourist.
just you and a bunch of locals. You would hate that too, though.
I think one of our big learnings the first day was the whole process of tipping. And that started with our cab ride back from the airport to the hotel. And we tipped what would be a normal amount in America on not a large bill for a cab ride. And the person was like, "Are you sure?" And we were like, yes, we're sure. You can add, I think it was like
$10.
It was like $10 onto the whole cab ride.
Yeah.
And it was like a 35-minute cab ride.
Yeah.
So then we started looking into things, and every time we would get a bill, there would be like there's nowhere to put a tip. They were like, "Okay, thank you." And we were like, well, what do we do? So we had to start doing what everyone does. We Googled it.
Mm-hmm.
And like a 10% tip is like extreme in Spain. 5% is fine and nothing is expected. And it's like legit anywhere you went. No one was looking for a tip. They weren't doing it for a tip.
Which has its downsides. Everything is very slow.
It is very slow. And we would try to offer money to make it faster. And when they're not motivated by money, we don't know how to get them to do anything. Is that what we learned?
Yeah, basically. It's like that self-interest. It's a powerful motivation. But when you remove that, you get what you get.
Yeah.
Slow. So it's a nice pace of life until you like have somewhere to be and you need to finish up your dinner so you can get there.
Yeah, we were immediately confronted with the pace. I think right when we landed, we went to get a coffee and it was like, I could feel it like happening. Like the blood was starting. I was like, okay, do I even want a coffee?
Yeah. Cause there's been, a long flight. It was like 40 minutes to get this coffee. I can feel the.
Yeah. And the coffee, it wasn't a coffee, it was a cafe.
Yeah. Cafe Americanos is what they kept saying.
Yeah.
American coffees. And they were just like
a shot of espresso.
Shots of espresso. So, yeah.
What was your favorite part about exploring? I know you were excited to see the Gothic Quarter.
I thought that was cool. The narrow streets, kind of the old architecture. I liked walking along the Mediterranean. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
They have, this strand had lots of bars and restaurants all along, just kind of looking out at the beach and at the water. So we kind of made our way down, stopped a couple places along the way. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of scooters.
A lot of scooters.
Because there's like a decent amount of traffic in certain areas. And we found that the scooters, they just go in and out of all the cars.
How many SUVs do you think we saw when we were there?
Well, you would think 60 or 70% of the cars would be SUVs.
And
there were none.
Zero. I think we didn't see one like full-size SUV.
No.
So that's a very American thing.
And a lot of manual driving.
Yep.
Stick shift.
I thought the paella cooking we did was pretty fun.
We did. We spent a night and it was, we got a chance to make paella, which
it's
is
like a challenge, right? We had like different
challenge,
teams. Yeah. Everyone made their team made a paella, and then we got to sample all the paellas at the end.
Yeah. I enjoy cooking experiences. And I remember for my 40th birthday, we were in Las Vegas and the team, which involved you, took me to a tour of different restaurants. And one of the restaurants is one of our favorite restaurants in Vegas. And we had paella there.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of that place?
Oh, I can't remember. Julian Serrano.
Yes. Well done. Julian Serrano's.
Yeah.
So we got to make that. And we learned that it's, the paella, you have vegetables. So let's say peppers, onions, and then you're almost like sauteing that and making a rice, but then you put meats into it and it's not a specific meat that makes the paella. So there could be a seafood paella. Mm-hmm. You could have pork. You could have a vegetarian, all different types of paella. And then we got to try a bunch of them. So
I thought ours was the best.
Paella in Spain is, I think, like French fries in America. It almost comes like we probably had it 3 times and we were there for like 3 days. Like it was there as a thing. So either it's they want you to try it because it's something they're famous for, or it comes. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. The other big thing that they're into is like eating cold seafood any time of day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. small portions of ham and seafood in any kind of meal, which is a little different.
Yeah, you are more adventuresome than I may have lost some weight when I was there. You may have gained some weight, but it all worked out. And not just any ham, Iberian ham.
That's their thing. It was good.
Yeah.
Like the 15th time I was kind of done with it,
Yeah.
but the first 14 were, I thought,
Perfect.
pretty good. Yeah. All right. But we weren't just there, to see the sights and eat the food. We were also there. HP had us there for a reason.
Yeah. We were invited by HP. They did a great job hosting us and setting a lot of this up. So thank you to them. And the reason we were out there is because just north of Barcelona, it's not really even north because you sort of lose your direction because you're on an island, but it's in the Sant Cugat.
We weren't
region.
on an island.
No, but like it was surrounded by water on a lot of sides. And I think coming from Chicago, you're used to the water is always east. So if you go away from the water, you're going west. But I think we were going more like north.
Yeah.
Just because the direction of the water.
Yeah.
No, I know it's not an island.
No, the island, man. It was
The island of
that island life.
the island of Europe, the whole island.
So we got to spend a couple days at HP's. It's their large format headquarters, worldwide headquarters,
Worldwide
right?
for 2,500 employees and worldwide headquarters for 3D printing and lots of different printing things.
Yeah.
So that was the reason why. And as everyone knows now, I think on September 19th, they announced a new printer as part of their printer lineup, which is the 630. So it comes 630, 630W, and then each version has a print and cut. So it's 4 printers total, but all based off of the 630.
Yep.
So we got to learn a lot about just the evolution of latex.
Because this is 15 years of latex,
15 years.
which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
So 15 years.
78,000 latex printers sold worldwide.
Yep. And then this new one, kind of looking at how it's evolved across all the generations to what it is now and what they've put into this new one. It was cool.
Yeah.
So, but it was a deep dive. Like I feel like I know a pretty good amount about the 630 and 630W now because they really, pumped us full of information.
Yeah. It was 12 to 14 hours over the course of 2 days indoors looking at slides and getting trained on stuff. But in the moment, you're like, I just want to go explore Spain.
Yeah.
But once you're home and you're actually trying to
Do your job.
talk to people about a printer, you're like, I'm glad I have all this information.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a great job of that.
Yeah, they did. Should we talk about the printer a little bit, where it fits? And
Yeah. So HP has a lineup and it starts with the 115 series. And
Yeah.
really you could say it continues up to the 800 series, but then there's printers beyond that are even larger. But why don't you maybe...
Yeah, so in that 54-inch to 64-inch range, it's now 10 printers that they offer, which is crazy. It was one printer
Right.
as soon as, what was that, Gen 2, so the 260.
Mhm.
They had one printer, 61-inch printer. That was it. And now, 10 years later, they have 10 printers, all available right now, fitting all different slices of the market, different use cases. And so, so we can just quickly kind of go through it, but you have the 300 series, right? So 315, 54-inch, 335, 64-inch, and then 365, 64-inch. Those all are still sticking around.
Yep.
Below that, you have the 115, which is like the ultra entry level.
That's the one you get shipped to your
54-inch.
house. You set it up yourself. You follow
figure
some
it out.
classes to get the warranty activated.
Yeah. Yep. And then, so that's what we have, that 315, 335, 365, that's been a part of the portfolio for almost 8 years, something like
Right.
that. And now above that, they had the 700 and 800 that have been out for a couple of years. And this new printer, the 630, will fit in between the 300 series printers and the 700 and 800 as the lowest cost entry point in the industry into white ink printing.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. I think that it will become HP's best-selling latex printer
All right.
because it has white ink, because of the way it's aggressively priced. If you were going to buy one printer for a local print shop or a small print service provider, this one will do pretty much everything, and you get the latest technology. I think it's going to be a really strong printer.
Yeah. And I think, HP is going to, has adjusted the pricing of the 3 Series down a bit to make that even more affordable and attractive. So there's going to be this, I think the big decision will be like, all right, 335, 365, 630, or 700, I think those 4 will sit in the market, and, people are going to have to weigh different things that are important to their business, whether it's space, cost of ink, needing white ink,
Do I want to be able to print on fabrics with like the ink collector? Yeah,
exactly. And then I think on the really low end, that decision, they'll already make that. And then when you get into like production, I think people are still going to be buying the 800W or going up into the 2700.
We just did a video kind of comparing all the printers in the lineup, the inks they use, what comes with the printer, how they all sit, so that hopefully it gives like an overview, because there's a lot more nuance now to like, well, which printer should I get? What are the different? Yeah. It was a lot easier when there was one printer, but now hopefully we can kind of help steer people the right way for what they need.
Something that struck me when we were in Spain, we had the chance to actually go to like a print shop and see them. And then, we were driving sometimes 30, 40 minutes to different places. So you're just observing and you get immersed in that culture. And I think so many times in America, you're like, well, this is how it should be. And you learn, like, when global companies are making a printer, they're not just making it for people in the United States. They're making it for worldwide use.
Yeah.
So sometimes the things that we are like, why do they do this? We were in Spain and we're like, well, that makes complete sense. And I don't know, I just started to have maybe a little bit more appreciation for some of the initiatives they go after that I'm always like, I don't know why they do that. And I was like, yeah, I understand why that's important. And, and a lot of times Europe is leading initiatives or leading trends that eventually do come to the United States. It just doesn't always feel like it's going to happen when it is happening.
And HP continues to be on that forefront with sustainability and green and all the certifications that they now have for the inks and the printers. I think it was like 35% of the printer itself is made with recycled components, like recycled materials, which that's pretty wild.
Maybe a little more than that.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 35 and 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not, a lot of big companies are doing that. I know Epson's also, big into sustainability, and they have a vision, and they're aligning on a lot of levels with what they're trying to do. They have a thing called Say, which is talking about just doing things that are precise and compact, and having, I think there's big companies and they feel like there's a great responsibility to do the right thing. And they're trying to separate that from any talk of what does it mean about, they're trying to separate it from politics and just say, like, we have an impact. We're a big company. So with that comes some great responsibility, and we need to like do our part to help. So with HP, between 35 and 40% of the parts in a new printer are coming from recycled parts of other printers. And I know even Epson's working on initiatives where they're trying to melt things down and turn them into pieces that go into new printers just to reuse different things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's be interesting to see how quickly and what shape it takes with some of the, elimination of plastics in the cartridges, and, where does it go from here? What things do we, make more recyclable, more green?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But we're excited. This printer's supposed to start shipping, let's say end of October, beginning of November of 2023. And that times up nicely with Printing United, which is in a few weeks. It's in the middle of October of 2023. That printer is going to get shown at the show and start being available. So that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, that'll be most people's first chance to see the printer.
Yeah.
And,
So we're excited. We're going to be at Printing United. We're going to have a bunch of equipment to try to align with what we're seeing in terms of attendees that attend there and what they're looking for. So we're going to have dye sublimation printers. We're going to have direct-to-garment printers that also are hybrid to DTF printers, which is a big trend we're seeing right now. So we're going to have basically a setup that shows you how to do that from beginning to end, from the printer, the transfer process, the shaker, the oven to cure it, all of that. And then we'll have some signage printers, right? You have the Epson signage printers, the HP latex printers. We know cutting is a big part of that, right? Even with the 630, there's cutting options, but I mean, stickers it's a big thing. So combining that with a cutter. There's also some smaller photo printers from Epson, on the dry lab side that we're going to show just to have there. Canon has an aqueous printer we're going to show. So it should be a booth for IT supplies that is like well represented with all the different technologies. But I mean, the show's way bigger than IT supplies. I mean, there's going to be, we always love walking the show and just seeing what's hot, what's new. We're always trying to find something that maybe has nothing to do with us, just to.
Yeah. My favorite part is usually just catching up with customers. It's a big show. So most, a lot of customers will attend, and it's a great way to just kind of catch up and hear where their head's at with the state of the industry, what they see at the show that they find, compelling. So
yeah,
it's in Atlanta this year.
It's in Atlanta. You and I will be there.
We'll be there.
So we'd love to talk to you. We're always looking for a variety of guests. We're looking for different topics that you want to hear from us on. So definitely find us if you're at the show, or however you're listening or finding this podcast, leave comments. That helps drive some of the content. So
yeah,
we're really looking forward to it. So what else? You got anything else, or should we wrap it up, Andrew?
Let's wrap it up, Jeffrey.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you learned a few things about what we like to do when we travel and our trip to Barcelona. But you can find us on all the usual platforms. As always, we appreciate you listening. Like, subscribe, share. But that's it for today's episode of the Extended Gamut Podcast.
Thanks.